There's no better feeling than a personal win, and the State Farm Personal Price Plan can help you do just that. Talk to a State Farm agent today to learn how you can bundle and save with the Personal Price Plan. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Prices are based on rating plans that vary by state. Coverage options are selected by the customer. Availability, amount of discounts and savings, and eligibility vary by state.
When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the Vehicle Owner's Manual for important feature limitations and information.
Ryan Reynolds here for, I guess, my 100th Mint commercial. No, don't. I mean, honestly, when I started this, I thought I only have to do like 4 of these. I mean, it's unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month. How are there still people paying 2 or 3 times that much? I'm sorry, I shouldn't be victim blaming here. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/save. Whenever you're ready.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See details.
Hi everybody and welcome to another one of the Premier League Cricket Show, and this time it's a bit of a special. We're going to do lots of previews for the 2024 season, but this one's a preview for something that's happening right now. Here we go, in Spain. It's the European Champions League, part of the European Cricket Network. They've done a phenomenal job bringing 30 plus countries together from around Europe. Some of the best cricket you'll ever see is out there in terms of the way that the ball gets hit. Distances that you're not going to see in many grounds in the UK, to be frank. It's a completely different ball game altogether. And we're very lucky this year from England to have 2 clubs joining the European Champions League. So joining us tonight, as we record this, firstly, I've got my usual oppo, Hugh. How are you doing, mate?
How are you doing?
Good to see you again, mate. From our T20 national champions, Wimbledon Cricket Club. I was privileged enough to be at Derby last year when the guys won the T20 national. I commentated on it a little bit as well. We've got Ali Fraser.
Hi, Ian.
How are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks, Ian.
It doesn't seem 2 minutes ago since we were at Derby, does it?
No, time has flown. Yeah, and the season was long. And suddenly we're back into it as well. I've been training a week or 2 now, so it didn't seem long ago at all. Lovely, great day it was. Very enjoyable day.
Definitely. We'll come back to that in a bit, I'm sure. And also joining us, because they've been invited back. Don't know what they did wrong last year to get invited back. But the runners-up in the European Champions League last year were our friends from Hornchurch Cricket Club, and join us tonight. He was vice-captain last year, but I understand he's skipper in the team this year. Marc Whitlock, how you doing, mate?
How you doing, Ian? You okay?
Yeah, good to see you again, mate. Good to see you. So we're recording this now 2 weeks to the day before you lot will have played all your first games. Let's talk to Wimbledon first, Ali. What's the atmosphere in the camp thinking about going out there and playing T10 for the first time?
I'm really excited, actually. I think we've had a couple of sessions, and I think in the last few days of actually getting the players organised, the kits come through, and got into the nitty-gritty of talking about it too much. But yeah, the opportunity to go and play, it is a bit different. I mean, it's almost like a very, very early pre-season training scenario, but I'm thoroughly looking forward to it. I think we've got about 14 or 15, and a few actually guys from the rest of the club, 4 or 5 are travelling out to come watch as well. So it should be a very enjoyable few days.
Definitely that. And yourself, Mark, you guys, I was lucky enough to be with you last week for an evening. I was down there on business, and so I popped round to see you guys. I think you're a bit excited to go back, aren't you?
Yeah, no, we loved it. We found it hard early stages last year, but we had a slight advantage. I like to think that we played it, and it's such a different game. We only just qualified the first week, but then we got our act together and won the 3 in the one day. It's fast, it's furious, it's almost like baseball rather than cricket, but it's not a bowler's game certainly. But look, it's fun, it's enjoyable. I would like exactly what you said earlier. I would very, very much hope it's us v Wimbledon in the showdown final.
That'd be amazing, wouldn't it, to go all the way through that on the 3 days. Hey, you start 2 weeks today, and first game up in your group actually is yourselves at Hornchurch. You're playing Mechlin Eagles.
Yeah.
You got the 10 o'clock start, haven't you?
11 over there. It's an early one, yeah. I think we play first and third game, and then the next day I think we play second and last game against Wimbledon under light. Hopefully we've both played 3-1-3, and then there's nothing on it. So, but that's the hardest under light. That takes some getting used to.
Hey, let's talk about first games, because I watched last year's first game, Mark.
Yeah.
And the phrase I would use bluntly is you lot were like rabbit in headlights. For the first game in the Champions League last year. Is that fair comment?
100%. We've well documented. We got there Sunday afternoon. It was sunny. It was warm. We'd had a few too many drinks. First game on, bumped into the Germans, who had 2 big hitters early. And then it was only after the first game that Jeremy come in, the chairman, and said, "Look, you've got to get your act together. I don't mind you having a drink." And then we got through, and the eliminator, then we had to play the third and fourth place. Then the final, we won by 10 wickets. But it's a bit of getting used to. And as I said to you a minute ago, under the lights is really hard because they're not very high. You probably watched a lot of it here, and you see a lot of catches go down under lights. And that's because they're so low. And the bowling arm, if you're fielding like square leg, point, firm, it comes out of the light. And you only really see it when it goes into the dark. It takes a lot of getting used to. And I say in the final against the French, which cost us really, we dropped there 2 or 3 times early, and catches win matches, as they say, but especially when they're dropping their 2 main people. But it's hard, it's fun, it's fast, and I'm sure Wimbledon will love it. And I hope it's an England v England final and the best team goes through. Yeah,
you guys been looking at some of the video from last year, Ali?
I have to say not too much. I'm sure 1 or 2. Undoubtedly, for players to play under lights is more difficult than anything. Yes, and the Fast and Furious, I can sense it's obviously that way. I'd say the preparation is really quite difficult, isn't it, to be honest, because you're coming out of the winter and you can't really practice game situations. Well, most people in the nets half a day these days, they all just keep teeing off anyway, so it's off. It's no bad thing anyway. And the bowlers stand there cursing, and I sense, as Mark's just said, it's not a bowler's game, but so we'll try and obviously have plenty of options. But I think you're right. And a key point, as Mark said, it's there to go and very much enjoy as well. Everybody commented on the final last year. It took a lot of work to get there. Some really pressurised days for the guys, back to back from a Saturday. So pretty tired as well. So this is nice, obviously, reward to get there and, to say, obviously play as well as you can, but enjoy it.
Most definitely. And I think looking at the fixtures on the first day in particular, it's really interesting that Hornchurch play the first game, so at least you guys can rock up, Ali, and you can watch that game as well as warming up and get a feel for what's going on at Cartmel, can't you?
Yes, that will be nice. Player-wise, we've got a few changes. Probably half the side still is overseas, but they're played in the final, playing here or there and around the world, which is good for them. So it's going to give an opportunity for 1 or 2 of the particularly our new faces, 1 or 2 of our students who are around as well. So, yeah, that will be, it'd be nice for them to observe a game and see the pace of the game.
Who's missing then? Who you're not able to take with you, just for those who are listening?
Obviously, Nick Welsh isn't playing. He's gone back to Zimbabwe. I mean, it was quite nice. Obviously, infamously, he got a call up for the national team, but he was part of the T20 side that obviously failed to qualify, so it was a bit of a Jekyll and Hyde for him, a shame really. And then 1 or 2 of our boys are playing, a couple are playing in South Africa that were involved in the kind of the tournament last year. So yeah, there is a few missing, and then I think 1 or 2 of the university lads, whether they can get time off or not, but it's good. It gives an opportunity within the club, so I'm not worried too much.
From your group that is going out there, though, who would you be putting names out there to listeners to say, keep an eye out? I've got 1 or 2 in mind myself straight away, but who would you put your names on?
I mean, it's fun enough. The captain, Webby, was, yet again, went about his stuff very well, but actually as a young player, Tim Lloyd, unlucky last year, actually. Played and actually started playing a few games for the Surrey Twos, and until he broke a finger, which was a shame because he'd been involved in their academy. It became a real presence as the season went on. And he's a good young player, and he's at Leeds University now. And probably myself personally, we're going to try and get him a little gig at my home club at Middlesex to see if he can go and play somewhere, because obviously Surrey is such a tough place to get into for any young player. But he's a good player, Tim Lloyd. He's coming on really well.
Just on Tim there, I mean, in T20 last year for you, I think possibly across couple of different formats of T20, but averaged 50 at strike rate of 125. So he did very well as a young player, and I've got him as 20. Is he 20?
Yeah, he is. He's just turned 20.
I can imagine that strike rate's probably going to go up. It tends to with the young lads. The average, if it can stay something like that, but the strike rate go up for you, particularly the T10 mould. He's going to be one to watch.
And he didn't obviously, particularly not just T20 and stuff and on a Saturday didn't get a lot of go. We were quite fortunate, as you know, to Ryan Patel sometimes plays, and Jack, our overseas Jack Boyle. So, some players where he doesn't always get lots of time, but as the season went on, he went up the order a little bit more. He's probably a bit higher now. So, just obviously hoping for Wimbledon, but actually whether we can hopefully get an opportunity to the next level up would be nice for Tim.
Yeah, and I think Tim was one of the players that we discussed during the end of last season, wasn't he? A number of times, Hugh, he came
Absolutely.
up in a number of times. And it's interesting that both clubs have got players that we talked about. We got Tim Lloyd down at Wimbledon, who was mentioned numerous times by us towards the end of last season. And then up at Hornchurch, you've got the guy that I think you guys call the magician, Mark. You've got Adil.
Yeah, he's some player, man.
Completely the opposite end of the age spectrum to Tim, by the way. But
yeah, no, he's been unbelievable. He was obviously a pro at Essex and Northampton, and he's for those that don't know, Shoaib Malik's brother, Pakistan international. But he's our main man. He bats, leg spins, unbelievable. You would probably tell me some figures in a minute, but he takes so many wickets and he's so clever. And you know what? He's a genuinely nice fella, and he's one of our main men. Obviously, we've got George Hankins, was at Gloucester, Gavin Griffiths, Lancashire. And there's also, we've got our overseas we didn't have last year, but the year before, Irfan, who played Pakistan B. He's coming over from Sydney. He's real box office. He bowls at 85, 6'4", hits it a mile. So it'd be interesting to bowl on that AstroTurf because he does get a bit of bounce and his action, if anyone wants to have a look, just have a look on YouTube. His arms and legs are all over the place, but he puts it down at a fair rate of speed, so he'd be very good to watch on that. And they say there's no blocking with him either. So, no, we've got that. I'll be honest with you, Ian, we've got the first week we went last year was very similar to what Alastair said. We had 4 or 5 missing. We did struggle to get through, but this time we've got a full first going, plus our so we are at full strength. And unfortunately, a couple of players that played last year didn't even make the squad. So we're taking 14, which are generally 14 first team squad players, where last year we had a couple of second team and third team just a field. So yeah, we're lucky we've got everyone out. Everyone's a player. Everyone can play, everyone can get there. But it's 10 overs. It takes one person batting. We noticed that last year. Some of the teams, like we played I think it was the Greeks, they had a man called Mumtaz.
Yes.
With no disrespect to him, the other 10 probably wouldn't get in a first team, but he just hits it absolute. You had to get him out. He bats from overs. As you see with Naby for the French, you have to get him out. Yeah, so it's one player. It's all right having 11 good players. If one player turns up and turns it on for 10 overs, you're going to get a good score. Yeah,
Naby from the French is a different ball game altogether when he comes back to play. Jason van der Merwe from CIYMS in Ireland. He's going out there again, isn't he?
Yeah, he's slightly different to Naby. Naby's just pure power, where Van der Merwe just plays proper cricket shots, and you don't see any of this. Naby just hits the ball absolutely everywhere for 6. He's very good, Van der Merwe. I would, as cricketing batsmen, I think him and George were probably the best 2 batsmen, but Naby was very, very effective. But look, there's some good hitters in there.
I've got to ask you both, either club, Wimbledon or Hornchurch, tried to sign anyone specifically for this tournament? Someone you thought, you know what, if we could get him in for a few weeks, that would make a big difference. I'll throw a name out there straight away. One of my favourite players from last year throughout, Asa Tribe.
I'll be honest, we didn't want to go down the route of people just bringing them in, and I won't mention any names, but a couple of the England squad who won in the ECC contacted George to ask for what they want them to play for us. We didn't go down that route. We did try and get Paul Walter for Essex.
Yeah.
He was with us for 3 seasons, but obviously he left us to go to Essex. A long stint in the Big Bash and done unbelievable. And Essex wasn't keen on letting him come because they were doing a lot of pre-season testing and they was going to. So it was a no-go, but we tried to get him. But other than that, as I say, we have had a lot of people saying, do you want us to... George will probably tell you, but I think we had a couple from, I'm sure it's Newcastle way, saying, do you want us to play for you in the... But it's mad. He was getting emails and but
it's growing. It's growing. There's no 2 ways about it.
Yeah, other than the Paul Walter, and it would have been Paul or Irfan. Obviously, Paul couldn't do it. Irfan wanted to come. As I say, he's all the way from Sydney to play. So that's it. Other than that, it's just they're all club members and just our first team from last year.
And what about yourself, Ali?
Not really. In the angle, Dane Villas, who's obviously just retired from Lancashire. He actually lives in Wimbledon. His children come and play at the club, and he's now obviously just finishing playing, and he's working alongside John. We'll be working alongside John to see how cricket development, director of cricket works, and I don't think he really wants to play too much. And obviously, he's just finished his finished the SA20. So we chatted, I think, briefly through it. But I don't think that will occur. We'll very much bring the side that has played, as I talked about. It's interesting, obviously, of how people play. I mean, very much about Wanstead. Was interesting to play them last year. That was almost like a shock for our guys to see how they played. Just literally just came at it from ball one, and obviously this in a shorter version. But that's probably what I'll just say to the guys is how all the sides will play. Literally a shot of ball. They just kept teeing off all the way, and even though they were 9 down and whatever, they kept going all the way to get within 10. So probably the toughest game we had actually in the competition last year with that game, because they just literally, and I kept saying to the guys, they're never out of this because they will just keep trying to strike it.
Definitely. It was one of those seasons when I think for Wimbledon in particular, watching you through the competition, you learnt as you went along, didn't you? And then I've said to a number of people, I do think you had a little bit of an advantage when it came to the T20 national final, in that you had a couple of weeks of downtime, shall we call it, whereas San Diego had to play right up to the end of the season the day before. You guys rocked up at Derby pretty relaxed in comparison to what they'd obviously been through. They'd obviously dropped 1 or 2 players, but it was a relatively straightforward win in the end for you in the final as well, wasn't it, to get through?
It was very fortunate. It did go very well, and that's what I'm saying. The game in the quarter-final as well, after beating Wanstead, was reasonably straightforward as well. And say Wanstead within a shout was the toughest game probably in the whole tournament. I mean, Surrey itself has obviously got some strong sides to get through the grounds, and the finals day is always a good test. But it developed quite nicely. And that's right, we probably did have a little bit of a break. You often think, are you better off playing? But we just kept on our training in between, and didn't up the ante too much at all. And that break probably just helped us get in a right position to win it.
Just on how you approach it. I mean, looking at to the T20 breakdown, you've got the first sort of 6 overs, and then middle overs, and then the death. I mean, how do you work that from a T10 perspective? Are there periods of the game, or is it literally just go for it?
Probably, from my point of view, unless you're chasing. I mean, as far as obviously when you're looking to set a target, I don't think there's any real holding back, is there? Because you've not got time to look and think. You've got enough players who come in from all down the order who can put bat to ball, and you're probably emphasising. Just listening to yourselves talking about it, how it's played and how everybody plays it, but like baseball, it is a shot of ball, and you've got 60 deliveries. So, but I think if you're chasing, you can probably have a look at it in a slightly different way if you're not chasing a big score. But I'm sure that doesn't happen too often.
Just out of interest, Mark, how much did the weather and the temperature affect the game last year, Dax? It wasn't brilliant all week, was it? It was a bit in and out, but did that make a difference as well?
The first week was really clear, no rain, no cloud. It was just pure. But the evenings, like when we go, Alastair, the evening, as soon as the sun goes down, it gets really cold. I remember the first night game under lights. I promise you, we were freezing. In the final, I didn't bowl, and the deal didn't want to. You couldn't get us. It was so cold. You got mountains. Honestly, I promise you, it was really, really, really cold. I think Adil was wearing a beanie out in the final. Yeah, but during the day it was lovely. The second week it was quite warm. There was no real. But the first week, I know it's only 3 or 4 weeks difference, but the temperatures were a lot different from the first to the second time. But yes, it goes down. It gets really cold. Yeah.
Mark, you do realise Wimbledon have now just doubled their baggage allowance there. That's just cost them. They were going shorts and T-shirt, flip-flops, that was it. Now they're all getting jumpers out, coats, all sorts.
They need them for the night game.
They will. They will.
No, useful to know, Mark, indeed. Yeah, I didn't realise. I mean, I can imagine it once the sun goes down, but yeah, that's it's worth knowing.
And I think also that early game, thankfully it's not as early as what the ladies had to play in the women's championship in December, when they were starting at something like 9 o'clock in the morning. And it was, I think one of the days the England girls actually warmed up and it was 3 degrees. That was cold to warm up in. And you could see that they were really, really cold playing then. And in winter, of course, the temperature just got up for that couple of hours in the middle of the day. At least you've got a little bit more of that. But you're right. I mean, it did make a big difference. And in terms of that evening dew that was on that ball, it was very, very apparent with, let's just say, clubs who don't play more often in that sort of weather from around Europe. They really do struggle in it, don't they, I think, Mark?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it was hard, especially. So the day games really weren't a problem. I remember the first day was quite windy, and I say it's hard to explain, but you're quite high up in the ways you go up the mountains, you're really high up. So it doesn't really feel like the balls all over the place. But look, it's a lovely ground. The outfield's like a carpet, and they look brilliant there. It is, there's no excuses. The pitch is, you bowl it short, it bounces. There's not much turn for the spinners, but it's for the seamers. It's good for the seamers. If you bowl it short, you get a lot of carry.
Now, I'm sure Ali might have spoken to one or two of the lads who've been out there. You might have spoken to David Scott, for example, who played for England out there. Yeah. It's really interesting the approach that teams take out at Cartama between yourself, Mark, the spinners, all the way through to the absolute express pace that in between, isn't there? And it's so varied for each club, isn't it?
Yeah, Adil, believe it or not, didn't get that many wickets. He didn't go for many runs, but he didn't. You were probably different, but just through memory, I'm pretty sure it was either me or Gavin with a top wicket take.
In terms of wickets, T20 wickets, picking it all out from all the thousands of T20 comps in the ECB, but I've got top wicket taker in the last year. This is not European Championship. I haven't got those stats up, but I've got, so Wimbledon's, in terms of the T20 comps last year, Wimbledon was top stat, Charlie Whipple.
Yes, interesting. Just mentioning it, I was just about to say spinner. He's a 6'7" leg spinner. So yeah, that'd be interesting to see. Obviously, Charlie, because he spins it and he makes it bounce. Obviously,
he will be interesting.
Yeah,
definitely.
But.
Oh, such a clutch off-season pickup, Dave.
I was worried we'd bring back the same team.
I meant those blackout motorized shades.
Blinds.com made it crazy affordable to replace our old blinds.
Hard to install?
No, it's easy. I installed these and then got some for my mom. She talked to a design consultant for free and scheduled a professional measure and install.
Hall of Fame son.
They're the #1 online retailer of custom window coverings in the world.
Blinds.com is the GOAT.
Shop Blinds.com's primetime kickoff event. Save up to 50% off select styles, plus doorbusters. Rules and restrictions may apply.
So you're both flying out on the Wednesday, the day before you play. I think both clubs have got reasonably early flights, which is good, which means when you get out there, you've got the day to check in, relax. Any thoughts of what you're going to do that afternoon different to last year, Mark?
No, we'll just have a chill out. We'll probably go down to the bar, have a few beers. But that night's quite, Alastair will realise, it's quite full on. You have to have meetings and you have to have all photo shoots. And so it's not what you want. You have to go, you have your dinner in the hotel, then there's all team photos and personal photos because they use them on the TV. So you have to put all your kit on and have all the photos. So it's not a matter of just do what you want. And then the worst thing is the first morning before you play is a massive meeting. It's all corruption meeting, and that goes on our way. So it drags on a little bit, but they have to do it. So it's not all, so especially like us, we've got the first game. The meeting will probably be about 7:30 in the morning. So
yeah, you're looking forward to that, aren't you, Mark?
I can't wait.
So there's obviously no time to do any form of activity really on the Wednesday. Time-wise, it sounds like.
We're about, if it's similar to last, you get there about 2. I think about 7. So you've got a little thing. I was talking to the boys last week, Alastair. This one's very rushed and very compact. You don't get time. Finals week, the whole week, and then you have a couple of rest days and you play once, twice in the week. It's very lot more chilled out. But this one, it's even worse this year because they did that every week last year. It was a Sunday, was a rest day. Because they've got an extra group, there's no rest day. They're just going all the way through. But it's enjoyable, but it is full on. Because you don't get, like, that last game is 7:30 out there. So time it finishes and you get back to the hotel, you're talking 11 o'clock at night. It's quite late.
And that's what the whole week's building towards for both clubs, Ali. You've got your games in the precursor. I mean, let's be honest. If the European Cricket Network haven't done this on purpose, it's pure luck, isn't it? But I doubt it very much. They've put Friday night under lights, 7:30, Hornchurch versus Wimbledon. They know that's the big one in that group by a mile. I mean, that must be the one the lads are looking forward to, Ali.
Yeah, I say I haven't bounced around too much, but they're obviously fully aware of Hornchurch being there and doing very well in it. So, I think everybody's put 2 and 2 together and realising without any shadow that in theory should be the strongest game. But it's just quite far. I mean, Mark describes as the big hitters from Germany and things like that. It's obviously in the French, just to get used to the sides from these sides. And I'm sure they've got some very good cricketers, but it doesn't normally roll off the tongue, does it, cricket-wise, to say these sides? But I'm sure they'll be decent.
It doesn't. And I'll speak to Vinny in the next week or so before the tournament starts, to obviously be commentating, and he'll have heads up on 1 or 2 clubs from around Europe who will shock people. There's a guarantee. He did exactly the same for the European Championships. He gave people heads up on who was going to, he said Switzerland were going to shock people. And people went, Switzerland, cricket? But they shocked one or two people. And as Mark said, you only need one or two players to have a day out, basically, don't you? You just need that couple of big opening batters for Germany, or you need the bowlers for Dre to have an absolute field day. And it's a different ball game at T10 because it moves so quickly.
On the we talked about the batters and the approach. Bowling wise, what are the bowlers thinking here? Are you looking to upskill the armoury to pull out some interesting new deliveries to try and slow that run rate and to keep the ball inside the boundary rate? I would think the bowlers are the ones who really need to do the work.
I mean, I think they're used to, obviously, the kind of pressures that come along, really, thinking on your feet. I mean, it's interesting that you watch all forms of cricket, and recently on the TV, the good old-fashioned Yorker at the end of the day is one of the best attributes. They've been able to nail that, etc. I guess the verge on the slower balls. Our players at the level that, are they to deal with it? Scoop-wise, etc. These kind of shots are often only the very best can play them that well. So, yeah, you're right. They're going to have to think on their feet. I think that's what my points to them were, and chopping and changing it. And if you might need 6-7 bowlers, etc., per game, so that could well be quite important that you can throw the ball to different. We've generally got a lot of seamers with us, but it's quite nice to certainly have Charlie there and another slow left armour.
And yourself, Mark, you guys have been there and done that before, and you've sort of flexed it around the bowlers quite a lot last year, didn't you?
Yeah, there really is we tried different formations, different styles. If a batsman's in, like you say, the Yorker, Alastair, you get it 2 inches out. It's a full pass or an half volley. It's 50-yard boundary. We tried bouncing Nabby out, and the French is Harry, and you see that at Gavin. It's going even further. It really, without saying, the lesser bowlers are harder to hit than the proper bowlers, and it's that sort of game. Yeah. As I say, look, we're lucky this year. We've got a bit like Alastair, 7 or 8 bowlers. I can throw the ball to whoever. The seamers didn't get as many wickets as the spinners, but the spinners went for more. That's the way we looked at it. But look, you can throw the ball to anyone. And there's games, I think Harry Hankins, he bowled 2 overs, 2 for 7. The next game, he bowled 2 overs, 0 for 38, I think it was. So how do you make sense of that? So, and Gavin bowled brilliant one day, and next week, same me, he bowled 2 overs for 18, and then you go for 30. That doesn't make any sense. You just get it in out its boundaries, especially if you've got a good player in.
It's without a shadow the form of cricket that, from what I've watched over the last year in particular, wickets really do count. Yeah. That absolutely puts the kibosh on anyone who's getting going. As you say, you lost George Hankins' second ball in the final. If he'd have teed off for just 2 or 3 overs, you might be 30, 40 runs down the train there. And those wickets make all the difference. And you only have to listen to the commentators when they talk about the fact that a dot ball is just so vital. There's 60 balls in each innings. If you can squeeze 15 to 20 dot balls out of that, you're in the game straight away, aren't you? I think there.
100%. Yeah, he's the field placings are massive as well, where you got your best fielders. Like you take in 1s, even 2s. It's so hard to stop the boundaries though because it's so short. It's just hard. You just got to get what we found. We've got to get the best fielders in the best positions. The lesser fielders, you don't mind them taking 1 to them. Like you see me and Sainsbury, my fielding cover and Sainsbury, they can run 1 to us. We'll take 1. But what you don't is us on the boundary. So there is, believe it or not, there is certain tactics that we learned throughout the 2 weeks, which we're taking to this year. But as I say, it is so fast. You've got the 45-minute clock ticking all the time. And then there's obviously the punishment of the fielders if you don't get it. You just got it's constant, non-stop. But it's fun. That's the best thing about it.
So I sense the reality is, and I'll be saying is just being ready. Is say ready to bowl at any point, and also in the field as well. Real captain management of their own game to get into position, etc., and just keeping half an eye on the captain all the time. I guess that's what I sense it's going to be quite important.
Absolutely, and if you look back to the England team who won the European Championship last year, without any shadow, he didn't have the best tournament with the bat himself, but the most important player on that pitch was Dan Lincoln, the captain, and the way he marshalled the field, ball by ball. And it's quick, because you've got that 45-minute clock. They, as you said, they've all got their left eye, right eye. They're always looking to see what he's doing and just setting those plans. And You don't get time to adjust too often, clearly. But at least if you get through to the last day of your group, so for everyone who's listening who doesn't know, that everyone will play each other for the first 2 days. Then it goes to a finals day for the group to see who goes to Championship week. By the time you get to finals day, you will have played each other. You will then get to see what each other team's going to do, and you might start to put some mini plans in place. But other than that, the captains are just so non-stop, aren't they, Mark?
Oh yeah, 100%. It's just like you, even when you're having a game in between, you're tossing up and you're doing pictures, you're doing interviews. The captains is non-stop because you obviously toss while the first game's ready. So you're ready. He's not. Vinny's doing interviews and etc. etc. So it is non-stop for the captains. Yeah,
we've got 2 weeks to wait. I'm going to ask 2 questions for both of you. 2 weeks to wait before, let's be honest, your bowlers start bowling as fast as they can, spinners start to spin it as much as they can, and every batter from Tim Lloyd, George Hankins, Hamish Merriman, looking forward to watching Hamish bat out there, I think, are all going to be teeing off left, right and centre. If you have a hope for that week, Mark, what is it in simple terms?
Win the group, get through to finals week. That's all we're there for. We can only give it our best. I say we've spoke about it as much as obviously us and Wimbledon. I do believe we'll be in the final. But if you take your foot off the gas and take the others for granted like we did last year, you just quickly find yourself behind it. And to get to the eliminators, massive. See, the finals day last year, we finished 4th. And we had to win 3 games to win it, and exactly the same finals. You get that limiter, it just gives you 2 chances to get to the final.
Definitely. Yourselves, Ali, what's your thought process as a club?
Yeah, we've talked about, obviously, the emphasis as always is getting there and enjoying it. But yeah, just making sure the guys put their skills in place, really, and just being realistic as well. It is, you're coming out of a net situation indoors to play in a game. So as much as you can, the guys getting up to speed, and obviously the same as Mark, just hopefully we can go through to the next stage.
And the one thing we can assure you is that whichever club goes through to the next stage, and please be one of you two, because I did say it off air, but I'll say it on here as well. Neither are allowed back in the country if you let Mechelen Eagles, Prague or Huddinge beat you and come back. You're not allowed back. And I don't think we'll get a 2-team intro for next year then, will we, invite whatsoever. But you guys get to that final, I think it's an opportunity to show 2 proper English cricket clubs having a real good Barney, let's be honest, because that's what's going to, a T10 is a good Barney very quickly, and that couldn't be any better to do that on a Saturday night, could it?
No, hopefully that's the case. I would rather play one of the other 3, but I'm not sure that's going to happen. But if it's an all-English final, the best team wins, and at least there's an English team back at finals week. Yeah, very, very much so. I think if, we'll hopefully get there, and the guys will give it a good go. They'll have obviously learned over the 2 or 3 games. As always, you say to any of the players, as long as they've left it all out there, and 110%, you can't ask anymore.
Most definitely. It's not like you haven't got some people you can look back on and see the success they've had over the last few months. The England ladies won the European Championship. The England men won the European Championship. Both will tell you that it wasn't easy in the slightest to get to that stage. They'll also both tell you, in particular the men, how much those European clubs and countries are improving. And that'll be the really interesting bit in the Champions League this year, because you had a tough time last year, Mark, but we're bound to see some improvement from those clubs as well, aren't we?
Oh, definitely. I'll be honest, as I said earlier, I think we took it a bit easy. What you will find, and what we did find, especially in the first group, and I was actually talking about it to the chairman yesterday, it's a bit harsh on Wimbledon, to be fair, because they're top seeds in the group, and then obviously seeds 2, 3, 4, and normally seed 5 would be the worst team, and they've bumped into us. So it's a little bit unfair, but you cannot take them for granted. What we did find, though, they'll have 4 or 5 who come back. If you get a couple of early wickets, the better teams will genuinely win. Obviously, they'll have 2 last year, as I said, to Mumtaz and people like that. The Germans had a really good one, but I can't remember his name. But you get them out, you get into the middle order, and it's a different ball game. Like the better cricket teams, clubs will have enough too much for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's right. I think you're right. It did seem strange us being in the same group, but there we go. I guess that's the way it works. No, probably that's kind of strength. His depth is probably one of the assets that we have, really. Probably more experienced cricketers, and you've got people still coming in at 6 or 7 who certainly know what to do. Yeah.
Let's ask one final question to Mark. You're the experienced guy on the recording here, Mark. If you could give one piece of advice to Wimbledon with your experience from Hornchurch, what would it be?
Can I give that bit of advice?
Go on, Hugh.
Don't get pissed the night before the first match.
Probably that's very good, you. But I'd rather them have a drink, so I weren't going to say. Bit of advice: when Hankins is batting, lob it up a bit. He don't mind it like that. No, that's other thing. I don't even know what advice to give. As Alastair said, you've got 100%. The captain's got to be on the ball all the time, and everyone's got to be ready to play their part. Look, we narrowed it down. We overcomplicated it. The bottom line is you've got 60 balls. A dot ball's a disaster. Ones and twos. It's a boundary hitting game. You can't have dot balls. You've only got 60. There's no big good being 90 for 2 off 10 overs. You might as well be 140 for 9. You just got to keep going and not be scared to get out. Especially we've looked at that this year. We've got a better lineup, better batting. A dot ball's a disaster. If you play a miss with an intent, is no problem, but blocking's not an option. You just got to keep going it. You'd rather be 9 down and 2 down with 30 more runs. So that's the way we've gradually got to go. That's how I watched a bit, as you said, Ian, the Euros. The Dutch side were the best example of that. They just went for it and went. There was one game, I think they were 40-something for 6 and still managed to get 140. The young boy, 18-year-old, got 8.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they just play the game how it should be. You got 60 balls, get as many as you can. That was the best example of our see of that. The Dutch, they were very good. They just went for it. It is what it is. The best team will win, and hopefully it's one of the English teams.
Fingers crossed it will be. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time this evening. It's been great just chatting about what's going to be coming up in 2 weeks' time. I'm going to be very, very blunt about what I say next, in that there's a lot of people watch the European Cricket League and see it all on the internet and just think it's all clowning around and drop catches and dodgy run-outs and everything else. I'll tell you right now, you will also see some of the best batting, some of the best bowling, and without a shadow, some of the best fielding around the European Champions League. The key is that the European Cricket Network have more cricket ongoing around Europe than anywhere else in the world. And just by nature of the numbers, you're going to see more run-outs and more dodgy catches going on. And let's be frank, we all know that we can go to a club ground anywhere in England all through the summer, and you'll see some clowning around when it comes to run-outs. You'll see some dodgy drop catches. Even in the Premier League with you guys, you see it, don't you? Yeah, it's just a numbers game in Europe. And I would urge anyone who's listening to this pod and thinking, oh, what shall I do over the couple of weeks? Just tune in for a couple of the Wimbledon or Hornchurch games, and I guarantee you'll be hooked. And you will be watching T10 cricket all the way through then. If you're working like I am most of the time when I'm watching it, just make sure you get your work done along the way, because I tell you what, it really does pull you left, right and centre. Been absolutely fabulous talking. Thanks again, Hugh.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Mark. Thanks, Alastair.
Cheers, Hugh.
We'll all keep in touch during the tournament. Yep. And if we can get you guys on during the tournament, if there's anything happens in particular, especially after one of you have won it, be absolutely fabulous. So thanks a lot for joining us, and look forward to a great few days out in Spain.
Yeah, cheers.
Cheers, Ian. Cheers, Mark. See you out there.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks for listening to the Premier League Cricket Show. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on future episodes and stay updated on all the latest news, views and discussions from around the cricket's Premier Leagues. And be sure to follow us on X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram at TPL Cricket Show on both. Join the conversation, share your thoughts and connect with us and your fellow Premier League cricket fans. And hey, if you enjoyed the show, why not show us some love? Leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast platform, as it helps other potential listeners to find us when they're searching for cricketing podcasts. Thanks again for being part of the Premier League Cricket Show family, and until next time, have a good one.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.